What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. I have a video today going over whether or not UFC fighters are properly hated, underhated, underliked, properly liked, or kind of in the middle neutral where they don't really need either way. Where they're like no one really cares about them per se. Yeah, let's hop right into it. I'll have my picks for UFC Mexico within like a day or two, so stay tuned for those. Should be a good card. Not a ton of big names, but I think we're gonna get a lot of finishes, a lot of scraps, especially after last week where there really weren't many finishes besides like the last 4 fights, which were phenomenal fights. Shout out Sean Strickland. He'll be on here. And you know what? Let's start with him right now. Actually, let's do Sean Strickland first. Underliked. I really think it just has to be there. One of the, I guess, fighters this list is kind of focused around. I need to make this a little smaller. Yeah, I just don't know why people dislike him. I mean, I know why people dislike him. I get it's because of his opinions and he talks a lot and stuff. But I think as a fighter in particular, his fight style, and I think people kind of saw it this past weekend, he's really entertaining. And I've been on this. I'm not a bandwagon. Like, everyone's bandwagoning on him now after his last win. If you know me, you know I've been a ginormous fan for years now. Since he came back from his motorcycle accident, honestly, I've been a really big fan. And then after his Joe Rogan interview, I became even more bigger a fan once you learn about his story. Like, if you dislike Sean Strickland, I really think you should go listen to his interview with Joe Rogan. You'll kind of understand what he went through and stuff. And maybe you'll like him a little more. That's just my opinion. I really think he's underliked. I think he got a lot more love after this week, and I really am happy about that. So he's going to be there in the first one. Let's go with Sean O'Malley. I think he's kind of underliked as well. And hear me out. I think for a while he was actually underhated. He was so obnoxious. He was so full of himself. I think he was trying to be someone he's not. And I think as of recent, he's kind of flipped that around and been more of himself. He's still doing his like funny antics and stuff, but he's not being cocky and obnoxious, which is really likable. I think people kind of have to be themselves and not overdo it. Like, I get wanting to build up a fight and stuff, and that's good and all. And I think that's one of the things that UFC is missing a lot right now. But being obnoxious and not being yourself is not likable. But I think he's kind of flipped that around. He's a lot more humble now. And I think he's actually, honestly, at this point, underliked. He's a very entertaining fighter, and his fight style is quite unique. So, let's go with, let's see. Let's just throw Jon Jones. Underhated. Yeah, easily one of the most unlikable UFC fighters. And I think a lot of people kind of realize that. But he still has, like, the groupie sort of people who are like, oh, he's the greatest of all time. He's not that bad. He's a complete scumbag. Like, in my opinion, he's just a complete scumbag. I don't think there's really much likable about him. It's not like he even fights much. His fights, I guess, are entertaining, but I don't know. I think he's just kind of gimmicky now and not a good person. He does a lot of bullshit and just, throughout his career, especially cheating through PEDs. And then, of course, I don't know if there's a UFC fighter with more arrests than him. So, easily going in underhated. Well, it could even put him in properly hated, but like either way, I'm gonna put him in properly hated because I think a lot of people really do hate him, but there's just like I said, that little bit of group of people who don't hate him enough. But let's throw Merab in. I'm gonna throw Merab in neutral. I think he does get a lot of crap, but I think also on the other side he gets a lot of love, and so I think it kind of balances out. I don't think he needs any more crap. I think he's an entertaining fighter. Like, he's obviously he's not finishing fights like some other guys, but, I do think he is overall, if you have a pace like that, and he put on a really good fight with Peter Yan. Obviously he got his ass beat, but I'm saying he wasn't like backing down. He was going to fight, and I respect that. I think his personality is quite funny. I think overall he's pretty neutral. Like, you get both sides of it. Next up, I think Ian Gary is super under. Like, he doesn't get enough love. Obviously he gets a lot of crap for his family situation, but when you look at his actual fights, he's really fun to watch. He's, I think, one of the more underrated fighters in the entire UFC. I think he, at 170, gives Islam the most problems out of anyone at that division. And I've been saying this for a while. I think he really causes a lot of problems for Islam. I think he can skirt the outside and kind of pick Islam apart. His grappling, is really good. Defensive grappling and offensive grappling. I think he can wrestle back with Islam even, which I think is important to do with him if you can. And I think Ian, not Ilya. Ian can do that. Absolutely. I think he's just overhated at this point. I should really change this to overhated. I don't know why I said underliked. Overhated. There we go. Thank you. Anyways, yeah, I think he's overhated at this point. I think he's kind of drawn out the whole cuck situation and stuff. Yeah. Ilya, genuinely, I think he could go in overhated or neutral. Listen, and this is coming from someone whose favorite fighter is Charles Oliveira, who got knocked out by Ilya. I can't find it in myself to properly hate him. Yes, I dislike that he beat Charles. Like, I really, really do. Trust me, I really do. I get nightmares about that. But I can't find it in myself to hate him. He's a respectful guy. He's really fun to watch. He's entertaining. I just can't find it in myself to hate him. So I think he's a little bit overhated. Obviously, I wish he'd fight a little more often, but I think hopefully he'll fight Justin Gaethje soon. Benoit Saint-Denis, I think he's a neutral type of guy. I think, he gets a lot of shit from being French, and I'm one of them. I give him a lot of crap for that. But he's entertaining. He's fun to watch. He's always there, going in there to be scrapped. He had a really fun fight with Dustin Poirier, where we got Dustin Poirier at underdog odds, which is nuts in that. And he's had good fights. He doesn't back down. He's a little crazy. You can tell by looking at him. I think he's neutral. I think he's one of those guys that gets a lot of crap from both sides. But I think overall as a fighter, I think he's really just kind of in the middle. Tsarukyan, I think, seriously underhated. I think he needs more hate. He's constantly cheating back at the head strikes, constantly eye poking. And listen, this doesn't. I'm a little annoyed at Tom Aspinall. I think he's kind of dragging it out a little bit, but I'm not fully sure on that. One thing I am for sure is Tsarukyan is constantly cheating. He's basically Jon Jones. He's a modern. He just cheats all the time. Yeah, and he's French as well, so fuck him. Needs more hate. Leon Edwards at this point, kind of neutral. He's a little bit obnoxious sometimes. For where he's at in his career, but I think he's kind of neutral. Yeah, not super hateable, but just kind of that kind of guy. I think Dricus Duplessis, he's overhated at this point. I think for a while people were kind of shitting on him, and then they kind of liked him, and now they're kind of back on shitting on him and saying he sucks. And listen, he doesn't suck. I mean, he's beaten everyone else. Except for Khamzat, and then I guess the first fight with Sean Strickland. In my opinion, I thought Sean Strickland won, though it was a very close fight. I'm not calling it a robbery per se. I just thought Sean won 3 rounds. It was a close fight. He beat Sean and dominantly second with Sean being injured, but that's again besides the point. He's beaten pretty much everyone. He's very fun to watch. High pace, a lot of output, throws hard. I think he's really likable. I mean, he upsets a lot of people with what he says. I think he builds fights well. I think he's a really good fighter to have around it. It's been unfortunate he's been out for a long time. Obviously Khamzat has as well, but Khamzat won with no damage, so he should be. I mean, I guess Dricus lost with no damage, but either way, I think Dricus is trying to regroup and get better because he needs to, especially with his defensive grappling, if he's ever going to want to get that belt back again. Umar Nurmagomedov. Honestly, this is tough. I think he could go into. I think going neutral. He's not my least favorite Dagestani. He's interesting to watch. He's fun to watch. Sometimes, I think he gets his scorecard. I guess it's not really his fault, but it annoyed me when he fought Mario Batista. He got the second round, which is nuts because he got cracked by a knee and knocked down, and they gave him the round. It was just absolutely insane. It's so stupid. So that kind of annoys me. But overall, he's just fine. Honestly, he's kind of his camp as a whole that's unlikable. But yeah. All right. Here we go. Arman Tsarukyan. This is one I'm kind of interested to do because for a long, long time, and it's kind of still, I really, really hated on Arman Tsarukyan, especially after the Charles Oliveira fight. I really shit on him a lot. I've been shitting on him it was like a year and a half I was shitting on him. But I think as of recent, he's kind of grown on me a little bit. He's never going to be one of my favorite fighters by any means. I can't, to be my favorite fighter, or I'll do a video on this soon too. I was going to do my top 10 favorite UFC fighters, which might come out next week or something. But I think, to be one of my favorite fighters, you kind of have to have a certain thing about you, a certain relatable or likable thing about you. I just can't relate to him at all. Yeah, and his fight style is all right. It's entertaining, but I'm gonna put him in overhated, to be honest. I think he gets a lot of crap. I think a lot of crap. He gets a lot of shit from a lot of people, and then he also has his groupies. And I think kind of they're both wrong. Like, he's not the absolute world beater. He's not going to dominate everyone. I thought he lost to Charles. But he also doesn't deserve a ton of hate. But yeah, so I think overhit is a good spot for him. I think Volk's properly liked. Pretty easy to put there. Yuri Prohaska, I think properly liked. I think these two guys, pretty much everyone likes them. Jean Silva, genuinely underhated. He's so obnoxious and so annoying. He's fun to watch, but I think it's more than that. He's just so obnoxious. It really bothers me. What was that whole shit with him screaming at, what? That's weird. Don't do that. Stop. No. I think Max Holloway, properly liked. He's fighting soon in a couple weeks, 2 weeks. He's going to fight my favorite UFC fighter. Charles, you better win. Please, Charles, win. But I think overall, he's likable. I'd root for him in pretty much any other fight other than this. Except, only fighters I would not root for him against is literally Charles Oliveira. I've rooted for him and maybe Volk, but honestly, I don't know. Anyways, pretty much Charles Oliveira. That's about it. Israel Adesanya, I think at this point he's kind of overhated. People look back now at his career and kind of shit on him, and I've done it a little myself. I picked Sean Strickland to beat him, and he did. Shout out Sean Strickland. Literally top 3 moments in UFC history for me personally. But I think at this point he's kind of overhated. He gets a lot of crap. People shit on his career, say he's overrated. I don't think he was. No one was beating him for a while. He wasn't finishing people a ton. He finished Paulo Costa, obviously, but I don't know. I think people are looking back and kind of shitting on him, and I don't think that's, you can't look back and overrate people, but you also can't look back and shit on people's careers. You have to kind of think about it during the time. Payne Talbot, I think he's kind of neutral. I think there's some kind of weird and unlikable things about him, but at the same time, he's kind of just a unique guy, really fun to watch. I think he's really good. I think he's been underrated as a fighter for a while. Obviously he lost to Raoni Barcelos, but that's a tough fight. He hadn't had a fight like that yet, and Raoni's very good. I think he won after that as well, which kind of made the loss look not as bad. Dude, we haven't heard of him. I think, does Moicano have a fight? I feel like he does, but I can't fully remember right now. I think he's another guy, neutral. He's a funny guy. I think everyone kind of realizes that. He's not the best fighter. He's never going to get the belt. None of that crap. It's funny when he fought Islam, but I think he's just kind of properly just put. Just neutral. Don't really hate him or love him, really. Michael Morales, this is tough. Let's skip him for right now. Charles Oliveira, obviously properly liked. I think he should be loved even more than he is. He's the absolute man. My favorite fighter of all time, easily. And then, I just, who doesn't like Charles? If you don't like Charles Oliveira, you don't like yourself. That's all I'm saying. Alex Pereira. Just kind of properly liked. I think we know what we're going to get from Alex Pereira. He's fun. He's entertaining to watch. He's really good. That's about it. Alexandre Pantoja. I think I don't know, man. I love him personally. I think a lot of people kind of still shit on him. They don't hate him, but they don't give him the respect he deserves. Yeah, he lost to Joshua Van. It's complete bullshit. I would put Joshua Van in underhated. It's kind of that whole situation annoys me. But I don't think Pantoja. I don't think he's hated, but I also don't think he gets the respect he's deserved for a while. So I'm gonna put him in overhated, but it's more just doesn't get the respect he deserves. Michael, no, I gotta skip him. Magomed Ankalaev, I think underhated a little bit. Just so obnoxious. If he wasn't so obnoxious to Alex Pereira and talking about the tire, I get he maybe trying to sell fights and stuff, and a lot of the stuff he tweets isn't even him. But he's a little obnoxious. That's in my opinion. Islam Makhachev, I'm gonna put him in neutral. I don't think he gets a lot of crap, but then he also has all of his fans. I don't personally, when it comes to the Dagestani camps, he's not my least favorite fighter by any means. I dislike Khabib way more. There's a lot of guys I just dislike a lot more. I think he's very good, and I think he's a little funny sometimes and stuff. But I respect him as a fighter. I just think he's not my favorite. He's never gonna be my favorite fighter. Like I said before, it's just never gonna happen. But yeah, Diego Lopez. I think he's another guy. It's like you kind of don't hate him or love him. He's fun to watch. I think he, I was a little disappointed in his performance against Volk. He just didn't seem to get after as much as he should have. I think he could have finished Volk. I think he just had to run, like, as stupid as simple as a breakdown this is, I think he just kind of had to run at Volk. You know what I mean? Like, not legitimately run at him, but, like, kind of run at him. Just pressure the shit out of him. And he wasn't. He just let himself lose that fight. A little bit annoying, especially, and I picked Volk the first time, and then I switched for whatever reason. I guess it was kind of dumb because nothing really changed. But I thought Diego might have made adjustments, and he just didn't. Khamzat Chimaev, underhated. And there's a ton of reasons why, and I shit on him in half of my videos. But unlikable. Like, just talks and talks and talks. And you say, I smash everybody. His fans, too. Like, he beats everybody. I'm like, okay, maybe. Maybe he beats everybody. I think I said this in my last video. Maybe he beats everybody. Then fight them. If it's so easy, fight them. Because we're not going to know if you beat everybody if you just fight once a year. It just doesn't work like that. You got to fight so we can see that you beat everybody. Otherwise, it's just ifs, ands, and buts. I think he should get way more hate. I think he should, if he's not fighting, he's perfectly healthy. If he doesn't defend within this year, which I think he probably will, but if he doesn't, he should be stripped immediately. It's nuts. Like, there's no reason he shouldn't have a fight booked already. I guess now that Sean Strickland won, they should 100% make that fight. That is the fight in the UFC right now. Besides maybe Islam and Ilya at 155, that is the fight to make. Easily the biggest. I mean, maybe Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane, but even then, I think when it comes to build-up, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland is the biggest fight you can make right now. That's just my opinion. I think it's a tough fight for Khamzat. I think it's a tough fight for Sean too, obviously. But I think the build-up for that would be nuts. It'd be absolutely massive. Yeah. Last one, Michael Morales. I think he gets a lot of crap. I don't really want to put him underrated. I don't hate him or love him. He's all right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know too much about him. I saw one of the guys I follow, Santa Cruz Paleo. He does, like, his name's Brendan. He makes, like, products and stuff. He went and trained with them. It was interesting to watch. I think he's a cool guy. A little bit. Some things I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know about that. But either way, chill guy. I bet you could have all guessed my list was going to look like this before I made it. I mean, I pretty much, every time I make a tier list, these guys are all in, like, the good category. Jon Jones is always in the bad category. I just like to shit on him. Fuck him. Yeah. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Subscribe. I'm going to have my UFC Mexico picks out maybe tomorrow or the next day. So, yeah. And then I'll have I do want to start getting to work on. It's going to take me a little bit long, but I do want to start working on my top 10 favorite UFC fighters. I think it'll be really fun to make. Just kind of letting you guys know who I love as fighters. Maybe we'll even do all-time lists, not just current. But we'll see. Anyways, appreciate you guys. Have a good day.